The Mass Effect trilogy introduced the world to one of the greatest video game villains of all time. The Reapers were the stuff of nightmares, and for the most part, they lived up to their name. But having such a great and unique villain can leave any storyteller with a massive problem when it comes to continuing the story. What or who could possibly fill the black hole left by such monsters? And I would argue that perhaps BioWare shouldn't even try to top the Reapers. They should instead go in a different direction for coming up with the new big bad boogeyman for the next trilogy. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. The Kett are not good enough villains to carry the story or have the plot centered around them. At most, they come across as just another faction in the game. Their name, the Kett, also doesn't exactly give off some type of dread or even respect. There's also the fact that the Kett are native to the Andromeda Galaxy, whereas humans, Turians, Asari, Salarians, and everyone else from Citadel Space are from the Milky Way Galaxy. The fact that we travel from one galaxy to another should be evidence enough that we should be technologically more advanced than the Kett. The only reason why the Kett become a threat towards the end of Mass Effect Andromeda was in part because of poor writing and plot armor. And the fact that the Kett can't even access remnant technology until we show up, despite them having more time to study it, just shows that the Kett do not qualify to be the next big bad boogeyman for any future Mass Effect Andromeda games. It also doesn't make much sense that the Andromeda Initiative would travel to another galaxy with such little weaponry. Even if they were truly going with peaceful intentions, the Asari and Salarians all know that going to any uncharted star systems can be extremely dangerous, as they all learned when they encountered the Rachni, and later when they, along with the Turians, fought off the Krogans 1,000 years ago. We might even be better off if one of the counter races become the next big bad villains. But I think I have a better idea. Let's take a step back and think about this for a moment. We, before the Reapers invaded, were able to create these massive arcs and send them off to the Andromeda Galaxy for a 600-year-long journey. And we built them within a span of about 2 years or so. And throughout the games, it's clear that, as advanced as our technology may be, we still can't fully replicate Prothean technology the way that it was back at the height of their empire. The Protheans had better weapons, as seen whenever we equip our teammates with Prothean particle rifles. And they were even on the verge of creating their own mass relays. And despite our limitations, we were still able to send hundreds of thousands of people from various races to the Andromeda Galaxy in order to escape what was only then a possible Reaper invasion. Now, from what we know of the previous cycle, the Reapers wiped out the Protheans by first attacking the Citadel, which was at the heart of the Prothean Empire. After the initial attack, the Empire was splintered, and one side of the galaxy had no way of knowing what the other side was doing. As a result, we learned throughout the original trilogy that there were at least 3 different factions of Protheans fighting against the Reapers. The first we know of from the first game, as the Prothean scientists on Ilos, who waited out the Reaper harvest by going into stasis pods. They would then eventually piece together how the Reapers defeated them, and from there find a way to block the Reaper's signal to the Keepers on the Citadel, so that they would no longer be able to open the gate to dark space. The second group being the one that discovered the plans for the Crucible, but failed. And the third was Javik's group, who planned on going into stasis pods in order to prepare the future races of the galaxy for the next Reaper invasion. Liara also says in Mass Effect 3 that it took the Reapers centuries to conquer the Protheans, because they were more spread out across the galaxy than the current council races. So it wouldn't be hard to imagine that there was a fourth faction of Protheans who created their own arc and migrated to Andromeda in order to prepare for the next Reaper invasion. Remember, the Protheans had superior technology and were on the verge of unlocking the secrets of the mass relays. Add the fact that it only took us 2 years to build and launch multiple arcs to the Andromeda Galaxy in secret. And this idea seems like a much more likely possibility, because building such an arc for the Protheans would have been well within their capabilities, even after the Reapers attacked. Given the Protheans' imperialist nature, as revealed to us through Javik, it is more than likely that the Protheans would have arrived at the Andromeda Galaxy with an aggressive colonial mindset.
We were one empire composed of many subjects. All eventually called themselves Prothean.
What if they didn't want to?
They weren't given a choice.
Are you saying you enslaved the other species?
Any could oppose us if they wished, and if they had won, they would have ruled. Many tried, none succeeded.
Despite their superior technology, they still would have been few in numbers compared to the native races of the Andromeda Galaxy, so they likely would have taken their time to build their new empire. They may have even used some of the Reaper taxes against the native populations, which would have then started the Protheans down the path of becoming like the very thing they originally sought to fight against, the Reapers. 50,000 years would have been more than enough time for them to build and establish a solid foothold in their new home. And in time, they would have built up their numbers and technology to the point where they could challenge and even push out the Kett, which would then explain why the Kett come across as extremely aggressive when we first meet them in Mass Effect Andromeda, because they're fighting a war against the new Prothean Empire on the other side of the galaxy. And they can be researching remnant technology in the hopes that it'll help them fight off the Protheans.
What's first contact protocol again?
No deadly force unless fired upon.
Yeah, said no one in the field ever.
Just be ready if this goes south. Okay, it's over.
Fisher, you okay? I'll live. I thought I was a goner. We still don't even know what they wanted.
It's a new galaxy. I guess it's too much to expect they'll play by Milky Way rules.
Or any rules by the look of them. But what did we do to them?
50,000 years would be more than enough time for the Protheans to improve on their weapons and technology. They may have also eventually designed new warships designed specifically to fight off the Reapers. And any weapon or starship capable of killing the Reaper would be more than enough to threaten the Kett, and even all of the colonizing counter races that are currently in Andromeda. This could be revealed in a possible sequel to Mass Effect Andromeda, which could then raise the stakes to a new high, as now we wouldn't be fighting for the fate of one galaxy, but for two, since the Protheans' ultimate goal would be to return to the Milky Way to defeat the Reapers. And if the Reapers are already defeated, then they would have a much easier time reconquering their home from the quote-unquote lesser races. We may be quick to assume that if the Protheans did return to the Milky Way, it would take at least 1200 years after the initial Reaper invasion. However, that time travel might actually be shorter because, again, the Protheans were already on the verge of creating their own mass relays 50,000 years ago. A possible plot point could revolve around the Protheans building a large primary relay that could send them back directly to the Citadel, just like how the Reapers used it against them. And thus, you would now not only have a new big bad boogeyman for the new trilogy, but also a slightly more sympathetic one, since we know and can even understand what the Protheans are fighting for. They would want to reclaim their home and avenge their people. Even though the Reapers harvested the Protheans 50,000 years ago, we know that the Protheans can share their memories through Echo Shards. So many of them, even though they didn't witness the first war against the Reapers firsthand, they would still remember it through the Echo Shards, which would then make their desire to return deeply more personal. Now, I figure that someone watching this might be quick to write in the comments that we technically already fought against the Protheans in Mass Effect 2 when we went up against the Collectors, who were all former Protheans. But I would argue that the Collectors were not real Protheans anymore, as they were all Husks who had all of their original biology either removed or modified. This is even said in the games.
These are no longer Prothean, Shepard. Their genes show distinct signs of extensive genetic rewrite. The Reapers have repurposed them to suit their needs.
Introducing the Protheans as the next main villains would fix a lot story-wise for any potential Mass Effect Andromeda sequel. Having them wipe out the Kett could also help by giving the story a soft reboot. This, of course, is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments who you think should be the next big bad in Mass Effect. If you ever wondered if maybe the Reapers had a point, then click on the video on the left right here. Or maybe you're still wondering how else we could have beat the Reapers. Then click on the video on the right here. That's it for me. I should go.